Video. Live stream.
We're gonna live stream. On a Saturday afternoon, I know y'all probably got lots of other things you'd rather be doing. I personally would rather be doing nothing. No, nothing. So thank you for being here. We'll try to maybe get the bulk of the content done by about 2 and leave that last chunk for Q&A if anybody needs to duck out early. Your signs you can pick up on your way out. We'll try to give y'all a couple times per project. We have a flexibility for a little bit more than that, but probably no more than like 3 just to be safe. I did want to. I don't know whose this was from last year, but they did this really cool thing of this QVC code. Was this one of y'all that did this? I know Mark, you put like your GitPulse, like the actual sign and link, but these signs we print them such that they can be used over and over again. They just say first weekend, but if y'all wanted to go one step ahead or one step further and put like the GitPulse link or this QVC or whatever that thing is called code, I thought that was really cool. So props to whoever did this.
How was that generated?
I have no idea. That's not my cup of tea, but yeah, I'm not sure. Probably, yeah, generated. But yeah, and y'all can keep these if there's anybody else that's helping you lead. If there's anything you want to see, that'll be a resource for y'all. And besides that, we'll probably spend a lot of the day talking about our favorite topic, GitPulse. But I wanted to just I know a lot of you guys have done this many times before, but some of y'all haven't. So I thought it'd be helpful to just kind of run through the whole process. You made it this far, right? You submitted your project. We send them all over to PARD. PARD approved everything. And so, now we're in the final step of just getting all your details finalized so that you guys can have a successful project. Volunteers can have a good time. So I just was kind of watching it. I don't think anyone from PARD will be here today, but and by PARD ultimately gives their stamp of approval. And so, there's just some oversight of they, especially on It's My Park Day when we have off guard. So really appreciate y'all these past few weeks as I've worked with you to get questions answered. It is very helpful and helps make their job easier because we're asking them to approve so many projects. I really appreciate working with y'all to give them a very clear picture of what you guys have in mind and not catch them off guard with anything. So thank you for that. We have over 100 projects this year, which I think is really cool all across town. So I just, every time this happens, this is my 4th one. I'm just amazed at how it happens and how it all comes together. And it's really y'all that are doing it. So we are so appreciative of you guys and your ongoing support and stewardship of your parks. It's super important. I say it at every project I lead. The goal of each project, of course, is to get something done, to mulch these trees, to pick up this trash, whatever. But ultimately, I think the bigger purpose of it is just raising people's awareness of that our parks are they're used by everybody, but barely anybody contributes and gives back. And there's an opportunity to do so. And if we all do that, we can see them get to the level where we want them to be. And you guys are the ones that are leading that charge. And so, you're advocating for your park and parks in general and just stewardship and just an attitude of altruism. So it's super important. And we really appreciate you guys for doing it. There, in here, in your handy dandy leader packet, there's tons of stuff, helpful stuff. There's probably too much stuff. But I think one thing that I wanted to highlight specifically, we'll look at a few other things, but this script that we gave y'all about like introducing yourself and what to say before the project. You guys, a lot of you have been doing this longer than me, so I'm not. If you have your thing, do your thing. But if you're curious about how to kind of start the project off and address folks, I think that it can be a really great start to a project to give people some kind of greater context as to what they're doing that day. This script is great. Of course, if you sat up here and just read it, you look like a numbskull, so don't, sit up here and read it, but get familiar with it and kind of think about some talking points that maybe you want to address about your project and about your park, and kind of like what I just said about, this grander thing that we're all a part of by participating in this one specific event. Of course, it's cool what you're doing at this park, but being part of a bigger thing, I think, helps people feel a lot more worth in their work, and it's just really cool. So I think also there's a tendency to, when projects get started, because people are showing up late, they'd be kind of crazy signing people in with GivePulse, to just kind of just slowly trickle start. But I think it can be really helpful to have like a firm, get everybody together, give everybody this speech and very specific what we're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be explaining it over and over. So I highly recommend maybe waiting till 9:05, 9:10 when most people are there, gathering people together, really giving a clear vision project, sending out some messages through GivePulse to the people that have registered. It's going to be really helpful. Some of your parks are a little tricky to find, where within the park they should meet. So giving very explicit directions about where to park, where to meet can be really helpful, and help, kind of eliminate any doubt in people's minds. We'll look at GivePulse, and I can walk y'all through some of that stuff here in a bit. But while we're kind of introing this meeting, intros were on my mind, so wanted to kind of get all that out there about great ways to set your project up for success. It talks about, gives you the links for our leader portal, which hopefully y'all have seen, but just in our website, if you go to awesomeparks.org and then go to It's My Park Day, and then go to this leader portal. This is going to have a ton of helpful links for y'all. We'll be adding the give backs here in a little bit to share with your volunteers. There's videos about mulching. There's videos about GivePulse.
I think Rachel said she posted the give backs on there, and then we'll print out a sheet that has all the give backs that you can post at your project site, and then people can see which restaurants or businesses are doing freebies or discounts. So we'll include that in your supply bag.
There's also this promo kit for y'all to print, just to save paper. We didn't print these, but you can print at home, or I like to go to the public library and print like a nickel a page. So lots of stuff here. You can kind of tailor fit part, but it all has our branding, and so some of y'all, especially from partner organizations, it's okay to have your branding on there as well, as long as ours is still on there. Or if it's your friends of group, that's okay, but just please don't cover up our branding.
So you said that's on the website?
On the leader portal, yep. Yeah, and then
And it has everything formatted so that if you use Instagram or Facebook, you can kind of plug in the different kind of icons. They're fitted for different kinds of social media. So depending on what you use, there should be something in there for you to make it really easy. And there's also some messaging guidelines just so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just plug in your own information, but it has it all just kind of nicely formatted for each kind of social media.
Is that where you find like a paper flyer you have on there?
Yeah, there's some paper flyers on there too. And the paper flyers are in English and Spanish.
And copy possible on those.
Yeah, like Barry was saying, some people use the paper flyers and some people don't, so we don't print them, but if you specifically need them, we can have them ready for you at some other time, or you can use the library printers that then make the page. If you need to go something like at a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that at school.
Yeah, there's more here than y'all probably would ever use, but so please use it. It's here for y'all. And I think a lot of your projects, there's people know about it and they go every year, or you're in a part of town where you just get a lot of traffic. But some of our projects are not that way, right? And so the more self-promotion, but I do think that promoting it for sure online, Facebook, or just printing. We really want everybody to register on GivePulse ahead of time. We know that that's not realistic, but as much as we can get people to register ahead of time, ask people to sign up ahead of time on GivePulse, the better. We did leave a paper sheet on the back here. So, of course, people that don't have emails or just they're not technologically savvy, if all else fails, papers. And then in the bottom right, you click on profile, and then you click on switch to admin. You can then you'll see your project, and you'll see everybody check people in that way. We've over the past few years, I've been asking y'all to have co-leaders. It can be super helpful to have one person who's just checking people in as they show up, another person who's just kind of like really helpful. So you just go to the App Store, and it's called GivePulse. GivePulse. Yep, all one word. And then so you download it, and then on the bottom right, you click on profile, and then show profile, and then you click on switch to admin. Click, and then you'll see your project. Click on your project, and you see everybody's names, and you just swipe to the left, and you'll see a little green thing pops up that says checked in. Or if you slide to the right, it's like it did not show or stuff like that. So those are all. Hopefully, I think pretty much everybody has co-leaders now. But that's a real simple job for someone to do, just to check. Wrote it on the window. So we try our best to give y'all enough t-shirts for everybody, but we have to order them far enough in advance that we're not actually ordering, who's registered for your project the exact sizes. So we try our best, but we do tell people if you didn't register, you're not guaranteed a shirt. So use that as an incentive to get people to register ahead of time. And if you don't get a shirt, you can email t-shirts@austinparks.org. And we'll have all the extra shirts back to the office, and we can switch people out. We'll also be back at the office all Saturday afternoon for tool return and Monday. So if people want to come by the office right after the project, we'll have a bunch of t-shirts that most likely that we can swap.
Yeah, I just want to remind you all that I know t-shirts can always be a little tricky. We have to order them now for an event that's happening in 2 weeks plus, and t-shirt ordering to try to see for people who've registered, they kind of feel like, well, if I register ahead of time, then I should be guaranteed a t-shirt. It requires a little bit of lead time.
Sure.
So anyway, just management of expectations for volunteers, I think, goes a long way.
One of the ways we found it simple that way of really trying to get people to register, especially those early, not just a shirt, but the shirt in their right size. And then for all the people who either extra shirts, you hand them out best size as you can. But it does create extra work leading into it as you have to sort out all this stuff and split up.
I think people, they come and they want to have fun. They're there, their own volition. But as much as things can run smoothly in the beginning, the better the day is going to go. So I know GivePulse can be a hassle, but we're trying to mitigate that as much as possible. Also, speaking of GivePulse, apologize for the technical difficulties for y'all who's had all your information erased when you missed one field. It is. We're really sorry about that. We know it's the biggest headache for all of us, but it's just like the lesser of all the evils. So unfortunately, until technology becomes perfect, it's gonna. So Gordon, that's a great point with Gordon. So if you go to your project in GivePulse, you might as well look at this right now. Here in the admin panel, you click on Show More. You can export your registrants. Nobody's registered for my project yet, but so it just downloads an Excel spreadsheet of people's names and emails and t-shirt sizes and all that. So what Gordon was referring to, that's how you would find out people's t-shirt size. And then also you can get their emails, and so you can do that for your previous projects too. If you want to email folks who've been in your project in the past and say, hey, if you're free, come register for our project this year. We'll be at Festival Beach. There we go. Cool. rain policy, it's not gonna rain, so we don't need to worry about that. But if it does rain, we'll have to call it a few days ahead of time, and we'll try to do it on Sunday, and if not, we'll push it to next weekend, but we'll have to tackle that if it happens. Cool.
One thing to add to that, I would recommend everybody kind of watch the weather, and message your individual registrants. If there's something like a really big rain event, that I want to make sure that every single person is aware of the rain policy. I'll, from the barrier eye, will do a mass announcement, but we've had times before where there were rain showers on the west side and nothing on the east side. And so you really have to, it's a big enough city, if it's kind of spotty showers or something like that, you really want to see what's happening where you are, and then message people, kind of reassure them like, hey, weather's looking good, come on out, or we're going to start 30 minutes later or whatever. So just kind of look at our rain policy as a reference, but you will need to communicate with your individual volunteer groups, because things can be kind of unpredictable.
And I assume if people are willing to keep working through like a very light rain.
As long as there's not, thunder and lightning, that kind of thing. Yes, that's up to the appetite of the volunteers.
We'll leave all individual communication up to y'all. Like Kathleen said, we'll really only send out a blast if it's something that's like we're canceling, we're moving it. So as much as you guys can communicate with your registrants individually, the better. It'll be really helpful. So like I said, we'll have Q&A at the end, but I guess as far as specific project day of stuff, y'all, if you guys have fun, they'll have fun. I love playing music at my projects. I really honestly think music is like the #1 motivator. So besides t-shirts, so get a little Bluetooth speaker, jam some music, make it fun. It is manual labor often for most of y'all's projects, but a lot of people that show up are people that work behind a desk all week. And it can be a special thing. So you're enthusiastic, you're making the event fun, you're giving them greater context of what they're doing and why it matters. It can be really good. I've been trying to meet with y'all individually about specifics about how to mulch and stuff like that. We have those videos, but please reach out if you have any questions or you're unsure about really what to do or how to do it. Reach out to me. This room is also a wealth of knowledge. We got people in here that have been doing a lot longer than me. So reach out to each other. Reach out to me. We want to set y'all up for success, and hopefully, 99% of the time it is a success. So you can't screw it up too bad. Cool. So leader packet. I think that's kind of the skinny of it all. But at the end, if you guys have questions, let me know. I wanted to talk about important upcoming dates. So the next step in the big process is just getting everything finalized. A lot of y'all are mulching, and so that's a really big ordeal, getting 70 projects mulched all delivered in 1 week. And the way that we do it is I do an export of all your guys' projects from GivePulse, and the information that you submitted within GivePulse is what I use as the gospel truth for your project's details. So it's so important that if things change, you go to your project, you go to this admin panel, you hit show more, and then you go down to submission questions. Y'all see that? Y'all got that? And that's where you see the stuff that you initially, when you first submitted your project, that's where you see all that. So the big things are mulch amounts. We have had technical difficulties with this in the past, so if you edit it and save it, go back in and look and make sure that the change is saved. I, of course, if you want to email me directly and change stuff, that's okay, but the more one-off things we're getting, the more easily things fall through the cracks. So the best way is to edit it in here. When I run those exports, it's all already there. So by next Friday, I really need, there's a little bit of wiggle room here, but just to not complicate things, we really need to have your mulch amounts and this, the location finalized so that I can get a big spreadsheet over to our delivery drivers and they have all the accurate information.
I know been some changes over the years as far as how mulch is calculated and or requested related to number of volunteers mulching and truck size, et cetera. So I think I plugged in 30 yards of mulch based on my memory of the last time I ran this.
Yeah.
But is that going to be, adjusted a little bit depending on the truck sizes, or is it going to be like what you try to get me, or should I put in a slightly different number?
What you say you'll get. Yeah, but yeah, it's really hard to say exactly how much you need because it's based off how many volunteers are going to show up, the size of your trees, how far you're dragging the mulch.
Right. Well, I mean, we could if we wanted to probably distribute 50 or 60 yards of mulch, but we've never gotten that much.
You want to be safe.
It in the past. Yeah. So, how much? Like the standard truckload? What is that now?
18.
Okay.
Yep. We do have the majority of our deliveries come from Kinzer Ranch, and they rock. Y'all, I'm like evangelistic about Kinzer Ranch, but he can fit 20 in his truck, but it's an 18. I don't know if it crams in or whatever. But so just for like argument's sake, like 18 yards is a truck. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If we have special requirements for our delivery vehicle, how do we make sure that gets into the system?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you're gonna have to just email me and I'll make sure. Yeah, so if you want, that's a great question.
Yeah, big trucks can't get into our lot and jump under the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything funky about it's not a really straightforward delivery site, there's a park that we work with where they have to have a gate open, and so we have to make that arrangement. That would just be best, so that's a bit of a one-off, and then we can add it to the correspondence with the delivery driver.
And the sooner the better. I know a lot of y'all already know that, but the sooner you let me know, the better. Or if you need we're gonna give you the second grind tree mulch, but if you need like trail mulch and chippy stuff, please let me know.
So does that mean for the trash pickup location, you want to make sure that's accessible by a truck?
Yes, great question. Yeah. Let me say a couple more things about mulch, and then we'll talk about trash. Yeah. So amount and the drop location. So this is where you want the truck to come and drop it. And so this is really helpful having this pin. One thing though that we need to make sure is that the privacy settings are shared so that we can actually see it. There's a few ways to do that. Let me just show you real fast while we're all here. So here's my park. There's a few ways to do it. The way I do it is I click on the spot, and then I click down here on these coordinates, and then hit share. And so to be clear, you need the specific spot in your park, not just not just this link, not just Stony Ridge Neighborhood Park, but the actual spot where you want the mulch drop to. You could also go to so some of y'all multiple locations. So if you go to your places and go to maps. I guess you just need a Google account to do this. So all right, so say my house is my park. I click on, it's slow. You can add pins. You can add, here we go. Add a pin. This is where I want it. You can label it. You can say mulch drop 1. and then you can write 20, how much you want. You can be very detailed is what I'm trying to say. You have multiple points. So if you have a complicated drop, this using your places is a great way. And then you just need to make sure that when you hit share, that you can, so right now it's private only, I have access, you change the settings to anyone with the link, no sign in required. Does that make sense? Mark?
The only reason to do the exercise is to share it. Can't they make the share thing like automatic? There's nobody, that's the whole point of it. Why wouldn't it default to just automatically?
I don't know. I think that's a Google question.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean, didn't you also have to, within the give pulse, to also hit share? When you're listing, when you're listing how much you want?
No. Here, let me see. I think I know what you're saying.
The subject just prior to this, you also have to hit share.
In GitPulse, if you paste your link in here,
Right on.
and then you just hit save. Don't forget to hit save. Down here at the bottom, you hit save, and then I go into GitPulse as an admin, and I export everybody's projects, and I see all your fields, and I just pull out the mulch drop fields. So as long as the link you're pasting in your GitPulse project is a link that's shareable, then I can see it. But often what happens is there's links, but I can't see it because of the settings. So it's the link itself has set. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Project leader portal should have something, a tutorial that was like a YouTube video that we posted on there about creating dropping a pin.
Here it is right here too in the submission questions.
Yeah, so that's. We're not Google experts for sure, but it is very helpful. I think in the Word doc, there's just for us to share it with the drop.
Make it as efficient as possible. So that's mulch. We really don't want leftover mulch afterwards. Some of the parks, it's less of a big deal than others, but PARD, when there's leftover mulch, it becomes a burden on PARD, and that's what we're trying to avoid, right? The whole point of this is to make PARD's life easier. So if at all possible, or be judicious with your amount. Don't get too much and then be over your head and not be able to finish. But of course, you want enough to give people a decent amount of work. And that's where if you need help figuring that amount out, I can help y'all based on my experience. So if you do not finish, if you don't finish, that was confusing. We ask that y'all set up your own work days to try to finish it in like a week if possible. And we can help with that, but we need to know because we're just trying to be good partners with the city. We're trying to make their lives easier. So if you don't finish, it's not the end of the world. But just let us know, and we really need for y'all to kind of be the ones to own getting that done. Felicia?
What's the general formula? I know you get specific and customize it.
Yeah.
When you're talking 30 yards, and the amount of time we spend out there, about how many people at a park where you got to kind of maybe travel across the park.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what's the general?
If you want to be really safe, I feel like a yard per person, but probably more than that. Like we say here, like a yard and a half per person. So if you're trying to be, I'd say anywhere in that range, 1 to 1.5 per volunteer. And of course, you don't know how many people will show up.
The size of the trees.
Yeah.
That's always a factor. So.
Kata?
Barry, I just wanted to mention that we once had a little bit of a rain event toward the tail end of our mulching day.
Oh, wow.
So I had big plastic sheets and I could cover it so it wouldn't get washed away.
Yeah.
And we could go in and use it the next day and it was still dry.
Oh, that's cool. That's good. So yeah, some of y'all have kind of exception to the rule if you're a community garden and stuff like that. But generally, if you're in a park, we don't want violence. But we know that there's extenuating circumstances. So. And a lot of y'all are just doing ongoing work. And if you have your own special arrangement, that's another thing. But generally, rule of thumb,
Very. You said the mulch deliveries are the week of the 2nd. Will you let us know when ours is going to be delivered?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So they'll be delivered that whole week leading up to Saturday. It's my birthday. We try to give y'all like a window, like it's coming like Wednesday morning or whatever. So if you have so we give these guys your phone numbers and we give them the link. You want to be extra sure it goes in the right spot. You should try to be there or be available to call. They're like, hey, I'm at your park. We've got it to a place where there's not too many snafus. There used to be a lot of snafus, but there's less snafus now. But still, like, the best case scenario is like you being there and having all this up-to-date information. Second best case scenario is being available on the phone. So we'll try to let y'all know at least like within a range. We can't promise an exact time just because there's so many deliveries they got to do. But we're going to batch it by geography so we can give y'all a general concept. Also, when we email the tool amounts, we'll have your mulch amount on there. So if you see the tools that you've been assigned and your mulch amount is not what you think it should be, let me know so we can fix that. So, okay. Trash and brush. Same thing with trash and brush because we have, so if you're doing a trash pickup and it's fitting in the trash cans or it's like in the dumpster or it's just like, maybe just a few more extra bags, PARD will pick that up, their normal routines. But if you're doing big pickups, you're doing stuff that won't fit in trash cans, bulky stuff, or just a high quantity of trash bags, that has to get picked up by Austin Resource Recovery. And so we need to get that to them by the next week. By Friday, by the 21st as well, so that they can plan how they're going to pick stuff up. And they'll probably pick up like the week or two after. So this stuff may sit there for a little bit. So make sure you're putting it in a place that a big trailer can access. So it's not like in the woods or anything. And somewhere that's maybe not like super front and center because they may sit there for a little bit. Same thing with brush. If you're collecting more brush than the PARD maintenance guys can pick up in the little pickup trucks, then that's going to get picked up by community court. And they have a big trailer. So it needs to be accessible by trailer, not underneath power lines or in the trees, and somewhere where it could sit there for a day or two. Really, it's super helpful if y'all, but even if you're not sure, but you think there's going to be brush or trash, let us know, because otherwise, if we have to say, it's better to have it planned to get picked up and not need it than the opposite, because then it could sit there for a few weeks. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So the part they're working on is a green belt that's fairly large.
Yeah.
And we've had some years where we found like an abandoned jet ski in the middle
cool.
of like the green belt, which is one can't pick it up really.
Yeah.
And not easy to get to by a truck, but we still want the jet ski out of there.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to report and address that?
That's a good question. What do you think, Catherine?
That's an ARR.
But if it's like in the creek still,
Yeah.
I could post it on next door.
Like, I mean,
Yeah, really. It's that was something we probably first inquire with ARR about their willingness. They provide roll-offs, but usually do expect for people to pick things up and put them somewhere that they can then transport.
Yeah,
Or
like some
something
of the
like
stuff
that.
is just kind of like either really bulky or very sharp.
Yeah.
Like in the past, we've asked like 311 to try and adjust them, but like I don't really have a good consistent way of. I can get like the pin of where it is, but like I'm not really clear on the city's preferred way of communicating big bulk items like that.
Watershed, in the creek watershed protection bond.
Like
Yes.
the jet ski was actually just like on grass, like muddy from here.
Yeah, why don't email us offline and we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an unusual one, but we can ask around and figure it out. But if it's just a matter of accessibility or people not really knowing where it is, then we can certainly help figure that out. I'm just not, always sure where the line is for staff being able to manage
Yeah.
something like that versus like, do we need to then maybe do like a mini, or not a mini grant, but a neighborhood grant to get like a conservation core crew. That might be an option, but anyway, we can talk about it separately, but that definitely sounds like a not, it's my birthday kind of
That's probably bigger.
thing. I wouldn't, yeah, we would wanna get
Yeah,
volunteers
but like
involved in that.
that's, yeah,
Yeah, but
but
we
that's
can-
usually when we find that stuff.
Can you
Oh,
get
okay,
people
I
back
got you.
in
So it's
there?
kind of a
Yeah, cause like
follow-up,
the
anything we
green
can-
belt is like, I don't know how many acres, quite a few acres.
Right, yeah, it's quite large. Yeah.
Um,
If
yeah.
things like that happen in your like with your volunteers, and something that really you can't manage as a volunteer group, just as a follow-up, we can work with you kind of.
Yeah, I
identify
usually
solutions.
teach them like to make sure that, so that at least we have a Google Maps pin on where it is.
Yeah,
That's good,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, that's great. That's awesome.
And just like the mulch, with the pin, you can have the multiple spots if you do like you create your own map. But it's gonna have to get picked up by someone, so it's as consolidated as it can be, the better. And then same thing for brush, just make sure to leave a pin of where you want that picked up at, or where a truck, not where you'll be working. We probably should change the word to that, but like where it will get picked up and hauled off. Okay. So the next thing that will happen then is you need to make sure that your tools that you've requested are what you actually want, and we will try our best to equitably distribute the tools. We have a lot of projects this year, so that means less tools per project. So if you think you don't need something, then don't click it, so we can spread it. And we really do encourage y'all to encourage neighborhood folks to bring their own stuff. It's a great way to get like more buy-in and just feel like that, kind of foster that community. We have a lot of tools. We have enough to give everybody some of what they need, but if we had 100 projects giving everybody what they want, it's like triple what we have. So we try our best, but it's always going to be kind of a little slim, especially in the spring with this many projects. So y'all asking your neighborhood, and when you promote your project, tell people to bring their own wheelbarrows and rakes and forks would be really helpful.
I thought last year maybe you assigned us tools rather than our requesting.
Well, you request just what kind you want, then I assign you numbers.
Oh, you assigned numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And those mulch sleds that we make, if y'all want to make your own, they're just Home Depot cement mixing tubs, and we just punch holes in it and weave rope through. So if you wanted to spend your own money or mini grant money, you can get your own mulch sled.
It's a great Boy Scout project too.
Great Boy Scout.
We have a Boy Scout troop that does it for us now every season when ours move out. We have to do new ones.
And I have some like instructions I could email you too if you're interested. So okay. The next important date is the Thursday and Friday leading up to the actual day of. You're going to, I think, we'll add the link. Oh, here we go. On the leader portal are the links to the tool pickup, or you can just go to GivePulse and search for it. But we really need y'all to register for that so that we can have your stuff ready to go. And so it's just like this meeting, you just register, but there's time slots. So you just have to choose what hour you're going to come to Thursday or Friday. And then same thing for bringing tools back Saturday and Monday. It's really helpful to have y'all register for both, just so we know what to expect. But more important is the pickup and the drop off. So that's on the leader portal. Go sign up for that as soon as you can. Claim your time frame. And remember, tool pickup is at our office, not at Festival Beach. And so there's a map there. We kind of ask people to weave around, even though if you're familiar with it, you come in and then we're right here on the left, but we do ask y'all to loop around just because it's a really busy complex and parking is kind of bad. So just don't want to upset our neighbors. So just weave y'all through. We'll have your stuff ready for you. We'll go wham, bam, get you out of there. So yeah, here's the time slots. So go ahead, barely anybody's registered, so get on that. All right. Let's talk about GivePulse. So I showed y'all how to update your information, how to export your registrants. If you want to message people, I can show you how to do that. Sorry, 1 second. The app, does that make sense? How to sign folks in? Y'all fart around with that? Let me know if you have questions. So if you go to your, okay, so here's another important thing. The submission questions, that's where you're editing the stuff that only I see. But if you want to edit stuff that your volunteers see, you click on edit under the admin panel. And that's where you can change the event description, the name. Some of y'all have names that don't actually say the park name. So if you want people to be able to find your project on GivePulse, make sure you include the park name in your project. It can be funny, you know, as long as the actual park name's in there, that's
Yeah,
good.
so people use the search function when people go to look for projects. They go to the It's My Park Day Spring landing page, and it's a list view. And so it's, you know, that will keep them from scrolling through. If they put in the park name, then they can immediately find it. Usually people are kind of looking for a specific park.
I ended
So-
up putting hashtags at the bottom for all the different names people call the park.
Oh,
And
good
that
idea.
allowed the search to find.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea. Yeah, especially if you have a park like your park in particular has, people call it a few different things.
7 names.
So, and there's also parks that have, there's a lot of parks in Walnut. Walnut-based parks. So, a lot of things with creek.
So-
So those are good.
And making sure your address is actually your park address. Some people's projects I notice are still our office's address. So make sure this start address right here is your park address. And then you can add like address notes if there's something weird about, you know, where, if you want to make sure people know where to find it. I like to have ample information in the description, but not too much information, but stuff about like where to meet. I always had a hyperlink to where specifically to meet. So it's again, like, you know, getting that information out there so people, you know, they're coming and things are set off on the right foot, can be really helpful. You can also, if you go to advanced, you can edit the picture. We just asked that either one of the banner or the picture is our logo. So if you want to add like your group's logo, that's fine, but just keep maybe the banner of ours. Allow guests to register. They don't have to join Austin Park Foundation group. And allow minors to register. So if you don't want minors, make sure to change that.
Could you say that again?
So when you go to edit, and then you go to registration settings, that's where you can make it so minors are not allowed to register. And the default is that guests can register. Otherwise, they'll have to join the Austin Parks Foundation group on GivePulse before they can find the project. So it's just kind of like one extra step that annoys people. GivePulse, it does like way more than we need it to, which is cool, but sometimes it gets really convoluted. So we try to make it simple for y'all, but you know, you can tweak this as much as you see fit.
And that's also why we still include the paper sign-in sheet that has the liability on it. So if you have people walk up or that they, you know, didn't want to register online beforehand, we don't want there to be like a big backlog of people. So absolutely, you know, if people are already registered online, you can kind of identify those people. If register online, come over here. If not, here's the sign-in sheet. The last thing we want is for people to have a bad experience at the front. But obviously for us, from a management standpoint, for making sure people sign that liability waiver and all that stuff, we prefer them to do it online, but we understand that that's not a reality for everybody. So just kind of have that in mind as you're managing your project participants on the day of.
If you go to the admin panel, hit show more again, you can message registrants and send people a message through GivePulse, and they should get an email notification too. But I like to do that maybe once or twice leading up to the project just to remind people. And you know, unfortunately, a lot of people register RSVP for a lot of things online, and it's not a super firm commitment. But if they're not getting any communication about it, they're more likely to drop off. So sending people some messages ahead of time can be helpful for retention. Any other GivePulse things, Kathleen?
Oh gosh, well, there's always lots of different things, but you know, feel free to reach out to us if you have any trouble. We work with GivePulse all the time, and we still have trouble with it, but it is overall a really useful platform. And the more you kind of tinker around with it, the more you kind of get accustomed to how it works. But we are here to help, and hopefully we found that we're fairly responsive. It does get very busy leading up to the day of, so if we miss you, we're sorry, but we really do try to be as responsive as possible. Also, just so you know, the GivePulse support team is super responsive. I just had an issue just 2 days ago and got a response from them right away, and they're very knowledgeable, so feel free to reach out in that way as well.
Yeah.
They actually build the technology, so they're a little closer.
They know. I meant to say this earlier, but I want to introduce y'all to Robin. Robin is going to be helping out. He's helping out now, and he's a great guy. So we love Robin, but he's helping out with all this now too. So y'all get to know him. I think the last thing before Q&A is when y'all leave, there's signs back there. Put them up in your park as soon as you can. Put those links on it if you feel inclined to do so. Mini grant cards Kathleen has, so y'all apply for mini grants and you said what you're spending it for. We need those. We need mini grant cards returned and receipts with those, please. Kathleen, do you? Also, the only thing you really can't buy with your mini grant cards is food, but we will provide y'all with some chips and kind bars, hopefully. For mini grant, I always get this confused. What's the best way to return it to you? There's a form, right, to upload your receipt?
Yeah, I'll send out a mini grant report form afterwards. You just show what the receipts to show what you used it for. I really do recommend, if you spend the whole card, you do not have to bring the card back to me. You can do whatever you want. Get creative, make some art with it to its fullest, as long as it's for something that's already been approved for your project. So nothing weird. And yes, no food, unfortunately. It really is meant to be, it's a restricted fund, so it's really just for materials that go into your park. So if that makes sense, flowers, seed balls, landscaping, there's a lot of soil, compost, I don't know, just things like that. But yes, I will send out a link to everybody who signed up for a mini grant. You don't have to scan them or anything, just take a photo that way. Just say this is what we used it for, the end, real simple. But you do not have to bring the card back if you don't have any money left on it. So I encourage you to use it up.
Years ago, we wanted to paint the picnic benches in the park, and so I went out and bought paint, all the stuff you need to go with paint, and then the city provided all those things.
Yeah. We usually try to coordinate kind of ahead of that, but the city sometimes does provide it, but I don't.
Kind of hit or miss. It's kind of one-off.
I think we've kind of gotten in a better zone with that. Because when I first started, there was some confusion about that, and I think we've gotten more aligned on that sort of thing. So that shouldn't happen.
It's easiest if y'all buy the paint and brushes.
Yes, it is better overall, and we can give you formulas for what the paint is. If it's some standard, the picnic benches all are either this lovely brown or lovely green. Mocha and Verde.
Verde.
Yeah.
Verde.
Yeah. Brandley's like, yes, Verde. We're very familiar.
I would say it's probably too late for the fall one. Apply for mini grant and make some more mulch sleds. There's no such thing for Parks Foundation having too many mulch sleds.
Yeah.
And when you get to all these projects, getting fewer than you really need.
It's a great idea.
Make mulch sleds, you give it to them after, these things break after a while, they're always needing to be replaced, and there's never enough. And that was something I hadn't realized, was that we could use grant money towards making some and then giving them back, because we certainly borrow them throughout the year, other than projects. So, but yeah, if that's possible, great, get your kids together, make some mulch sleds, and that way it's my park day, there's more sleds for all the projects.
Yeah, that's a great point. We should buy the mulch sleds. Really, if you're mulching, that's the thing that makes your project the most efficient, is just getting the mulch out, because the actual raking doesn't take many people, the pitchfork doesn't take that many people, but getting the more people going is key. And people sometimes use buckets too, little buckets, or wheelbarrows, obviously. Yeah, wheelbarrows, but that can be really helpful. So that's a great call, Todd.
The thing about mulching is you can give people a map, but if you're not like paying attention,
Yeah.
the mulch is gonna get put everywhere. So if you have like conservator bags or ground paint, you can show them where it's gonna go because you're not supposed to mulch right up against the trunk of the tree. And people inevitably just do that thinking it's good, so you can plan it out. And the other thing is you cannot move mulch with a shovel. You have to have a pitchfork.
But we will give y'all some of y'all shovels. Because we're on a pitchfork.
Yeah,
Pitchforks are way better.
they're better, but they, with
There, Todd, there's links to all this. But Todd's right. Don't pile mulch on the base of the tree because it will it retains moisture, but then it's like it's sitting on the tree or retains moisture like in the tree, and it can actually rot it out, especially the baby trees. So a couple inches, like a donut around the base of the tree, and then you go out as far as the drip line, as far as the branches. Mulch, maybe even a little bit further because those new roots are the most important roots, and those are the ones that are growing out. So it depends on the layout of your park, but best case scenario is mulching. Yeah, mulching. I was at a bar. They did all these like super scientific studies about like vertical mulching and all these other things, and they're just like, man, just plain old mulch is like the best thing you can do for your trees. It's just like it's so close to mimicking what happens naturally in the forest. The leaves falling, it's this natural cycle of life, decomposition and nutrients. That in our parks where these trees are not necessarily like in their ideal environment in the park, it can really help them be less stressed. So this is a really important, tree mulching is super important and never happens unless volunteers do it. So it's a good one. Okay, Robin.
Barry, did you just want to cover the important dates one more time?
Yes, thank you, Robin. So next Friday, please have your mulch amounts and locations, your trash and brush locations updated and pulls. Try to get those maps to the settings to be shareable. If you need any help with that, just email or call, and I can help walk you through that again. There's also links in GitPulse, that YouTube link. And then that following Friday, you need to have your tools, finalize what you want, and then from there, the deliveries and stuff will start coming. So I'll send an email out to everybody reminding and with some helpful tips, but that's a big one. Y'all have any other questions? Now's a good time, especially with other leaders in here who have done it before.
Mine is kind of specific. We don't have a bathroom at our park. Is it possible to get a porta potty? Is that I never thought to ask, but commonly like they do a big event and they bring a porta potty, and that's amazing.
I don't think it is for my park day because there's so many projects. I suppose if you reached out specifically to the city yourself and requested one, they might. But for us to request 100 or 50 porta potties,
So who would I reach out to?
let me follow up with that. I'm not sure. I've heard from the maintenance guys that we could get them, but that was for like the one-off projects, not for. Unfortunately, bathrooms are an issue for a lot of parks. The woods. Any other questions?
How should I think about the volume of trash to expect?
It's really hard. Yeah, I wish there was like a better way. I mean, I think honestly, just scouting it out and seeing what you see. If you see things that are not going to fit in trash bags, especially like creeks, like grocery carts, if you see big things, that's like an automatic flag. Like we're going to need awesome resource recovery. As far as the bag stuff, I wish it were more exact, but so what happens is they send out some extra staffers on park day, but they literally just have a pickup truck and they're just throwing their bags in the back of the pickup truck. So if your stuff is not fitting in the trash cans on site, it's probably too much for them. And I'll make that distinction, but that's why that field is really helpful. Where I ask if it's like there's a field and submission questions like, will it fit in the trash cans or is it big bulky stuff or just like a large quantity? So that's a good marker for the indicator for me. So making sure that's up to date is helpful. And if you have questions, just ask. I can try to come out and look.
There are some parks that have big dumpsters. because they want to trash them.
For contact, like you showed on Good Post where you can email everybody out, is the person under admin the only one that can do that, or is that something that can be shared out, or?
Yeah, you can make more admins. Go to dashboard. And then go to users. Manage users. And then someone that's registered for your project, you can make them an admin. Kathleen's already an admin, but
Or you can add them manually,
yeah.
first name, last name, and email. So if you have extra people, that you normally do these projects with, and you want to not have to be the only person to communicate,
Make them an
you
admin.
can add whoever you want.
And they
Make
can-
them an admin, they can send out messages too.
So
And they can check people in. I forgot to say that. I think you have to do that if you want your co-leader to check people.
So they go into Give Post under their own information.
So you as the admin would go in and add them as an admin, and then going forward, they can go in and do all the same
Log in.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can, so if you're the existing admin, you can add that person, they can't add themselves
Right.
unless they're just registered, or they can register and then you can change them from a registered person to an admin, either way. But the simplest thing really is just to go into users and add them manually, because it's really just first name, last name, and email, and then.
And once they're added, then when they log in on their side, they should see it.
Yes, when they log in, then they'll have a different view. They'll have an admin view, they'll be their dashboard and admin panel, all that, instead of just the normal registered view. They'll be able to see everything. And they'll be able to message people and do all the same stuff you can do.
Our project, we're gonna have 2 groups in 2 different locations working different parts of the park. But we have 2 admins and each of those are checking in their different areas simultaneously.
Totally. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks.
So go to dashboard. Add user to do that. Get those dates, stuff updated by the dates. Hit me up with any weird questions. I'll try to follow up with y'all as best I can. Appreciate y'all's patience. Anything else? You guys feeling good? Let's go home. All right. Thanks, guys.